Put a pause on that applause. You'll save it for these guys. I think they're worth it a bit more than me. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to the Edinburgh International Book Festival, sponsored by Baillie Gifford and Scottish Power, as you can see. My name is Andrew Jameson. I'm a fantasy writer, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's historic event to celebrate the Beano's 75th anniversary. We have three gentlemen who are stalwarts of the Beano here today. There is Maurice Heggie and Mike Stirling, who are from publisher DC Thomson. We also are very honoured to have Stevie White, one of the artists of the Beano, here today. As you can see from the flip chart, he will be in action. So yes, the Beano, British national treasure. It was in July that it celebrated its 75th anniversary. And a few years ago there was an archive book released that some of you may or may not be familiar with. Throughout the event, if you can maybe refrain from flash photography, the guys are happy otherwise for you to step away towards the end. If any of you are tweeters, feel free to tweet. If I can also ask you to turn your mobile phones off, that would be much appreciated. Towards the end of the event there'll be time for questions, and afterwards the guys will be next door in the sign-in tent and will sign all sorts of Beano related goodies. I'm sure they're happy to do that. In the meantime, if you can please join me in welcoming Maurice Heggie, Mike Stirling and Stevie White.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew. Wow. Thanks, Andrew. He's very strict, isn't he? Golly gosh. I've never seen so many people in the splash zone at one of these things that we do before. You're obviously all very, because remember we've got water pistols and stuff like that because we're from the Beano. Now, does anyone know what this is? A lemon, correct. And what do you think connects a lemon and the Beano? Oh, somebody's got an idea here.
Is it called the park pictures, like Minnie, the Minx and Dennis would use it for a trick, like squirting lemon juice at someone?
That is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Do you know, you've completely ruined my speech now because I thought nobody would know and I was going to say something. But no, that's a great thing. They would maybe put sour lemon juice in their mum's tea, or they would maybe use it as invisible ink, because do you know you can use lemon juice as invisible ink as well. But the reason I brought this lemon in, I was just on my way out, and we're very well looked after because for a start they call us authors, which we were amazed at, Maurice and I. We were like so excited.
I've never offered anything.
The next thing, they've got this lovely tent, and they've got lots of lovely things, drinks, crisps, sweets and lemons. They've got loads and loads of lemons. And I picked it up just on the way out because it reminded me of something about the Beano, and that is that Dave Sutherland, our artist like Steve, who draws the Bash Street Kids. There's a character in the Bash Street Kids who is not the most handsome. Does anyone know who his name is? What's his name? Plug, correct.
Well done.
Right? And you know what now? Dave is 79 years old. Now, he retired back in 1998, but he still comes in every single week and draws the Bash Street Kids for us. So I don't know if you can quite call that retirement, but what he uses a lemon for is, when we write the script and tell him about Plug doing something, he uses a slice of lemon to get the expression, the ugly expression on Plug's face. So he actually, and this is the absolute truth, he has a lemon and he has a slice, and when we say, you know, Plug is concentrating on getting a sum correct, Dave will sit with a mirror in front of his drawing table, and he will bite down on a piece of lemon, and the kind of gruesome face he gets is what he then draws into Plug. So that's the connection. But sorry, that was all just because there was a lemon line there. So I better go back onto our talk.
We should maybe get our artists to try that.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's best to ask the boys and girls. Does anyone think that'd be a good idea? Maybe with Steve's, we'll leave it here and see if he's brave enough. I mean, you know, because Dave's only 80, so if an 80-year-old can do it, surely a young man, a 25-year-old like Stephen could do something like that.
I would, but I ate before I came out. I'm really sorry.
You're allergic to lemons. Right, but no. So, you know, as Andrew said, we're 75 years old in July. And, you know, you can imagine 75 years old in Dundee, where the Beano is produced. It was when the first issue came out, it must have been really exciting. What was it like in the office?
I thought he was going to say, was I there when the first issue came out?
No,
the first issue came out, that was 1938. The the thing that I find remarkable is that it was a group of kids that were doing it. It was really young men that had been working on what we call adventure stories. This is comics like The Wizard. You young people will never have heard of them. The Wizard and the Rover and the Hotspur. It was the sort of what we would call the cool young staff from these comics that were let loose on the funnies, and it was very successful. I mean, it worked really well. The Dandy started it off first. The Dandy comic came out in '37. 6 months later, the Beano. So they were on to a really good thing, and it was this sort of graphic style of humour. Although initially, of course, they were without this, what I would call the big names like Dennis and Minnie and Roger, but they still very popular. We're going to play a game later of which you'll see some of the older characters, and they'll be going head to head with some of Michael's newer characters.
It's a game that Morris invented, so I'm a little bit suspicious about who's maybe going to win this game.
He suspects I've rigged the deck.
And we've never played this game before, so I'm extra suspicious.
But whoever mentioned plug, keep the Bash Street Kids in your head. I may need assistance with that.
So Morris, we better tell the guys what we do.
Right. I forget because I'm so old, but you tell them what you do. Okay.
Well, my name's Mike, and I'm editor-in-chief of the Beano just now today. So I'm really lucky, because when I was a kid, your age, I would have loved to have done something like that. And when I was about your age, this is what the Beano looked like, and I used to get it every week. My mum bought me it, and I loved it, and I loved imagining what it would be like to be like Dennis. And I was quite a soft kid. I was probably a bit more like Walter than Dennis, and that's probably why I liked imagining getting up to that sort of mischief more. But it was something I think everybody. Can I just check? Has anybody here not read the Beano? If they just put their hand up and we can throw things. Well, we'll give you a copy of the Beano today. I'll tell you what, right? We've got to sort that out right away, quick. Quickly turn a page. Right, is there anybody here today who's not read the Beano? Everyone's going to want freebies now. We'll sort it out. But no, the thing we find is that, the remarkable thing about the Beano is, because we've been going so long, is that people's grandparents, their mums, their dads, the people that look after them, their teachers have all read the Beano at some time, even for a little while, and they know who the characters are, and they know what the characters do. And as Morris says, our main characters are naughty kids. Now, I know none of you guys are naughty kids.
But we have a lot of them. We've got a lot of naughty kids.
And I think the naughtiest one's getting drawn by Stephen just now.
Dennis the Menace. I was for years editor of the Dandy, which was the big opposition to the Beano. We all worked in this one building, this one beautiful old building in Dundee, on the second floor. The Dandy and the Beano offices were quite near to each other, and I spent a decade spying on them, because they were out selling me. And
he was like the James Bond, the comics.
Very close. And the reason I know so much about the Beano is I constantly spied on them. Pinched their ideas, pinched their artists, pinched their layout staff. It was very simple, I must admit. But
so nobody knows more about the Beano probably than Morris, because he was.
I had a dossier.
A secret book.
One of the things we used to do is that, and it came over in the pages of the Dandy and the Beano, is that we always had a real. This goes way back, and it's true today. A real lot of fun doing this comic. And it comes over, it's as important as any other thing, is the fun we have in the office doing this ridiculous job comes through on the pages of the comic, and it's been a major success. We're not nice to artists. It's a sort of fair game to be, mean to artists. We never praise them.
We've not even got a seat for poor Stephen. He's like a dog, like Nasher.
But that was all part of the fun we had. A lot of the artists were freelance. They would come in. We would do wonderful childish pranks for them coming in. We would make a cobweb with sellotape, knowing that one of the old artists that came in always wore this hat, and it always brim pulled down. He would walk into the sellotape, That's how childish we were, but what good fun it was.
And it still happens today. It's a crazy job, and the funny thing is, sometimes people ask you what you do for a job or what you do, and you're always a little bit nervous because you say to them, "Oh, I work for the Beano," and they kind of look at you and they say, "No, I work for the Beano," and you say, "No, I do work for the Beano," and they say, "But that's not a proper job." And they're probably right.
I think they are.
You know, in fact, Morris was on the radio a few weeks ago, and the presenter asked him a question, and remember, Morris used to work for the Dandy, so we know how cheeky he is. And they said to him, "Morris, can you tell me how many people work in the Beano office nowadays?" And he said, "About half of them." So you've got
I
to
was
watch.
not including myself in that half.
Just the artist.
Yeah. But no, so it's a wonderful privilege, and we're very, very lucky. But the thing is as well, we do cheat quite a lot, because probably our best ideas come from you guys, the readers.
Oh yeah.
Because we still get hundreds of letters every single week, and we get emails, and we you know, people phone us up sometimes, you know, and we get such fantastic ideas. I mean, and it's from all ages. It's from we have some readers that are you know, 4 years old, and the great thing is about the Beano, you can read the story from the pictures alone, and so younger kids can understand the Beano, and then older kids maybe they can read the little speech balloons, and so everybody can enjoy it. And then we go right up to our oldest fan. I don't know if he's here today. No, I don't think he is, because I wouldn't noticed him. And that's a gentleman who comes from Edinburgh called James Anderson, yeah, and he is 91 and 3/4, because he always puts the 3/4 in, because I think he's a bit paranoid. He's a bit worried that somebody's going to overtake him and be an older reader. That's what my wife said to me because when it was our birthday, Mr. Anderson agreed to the BBC found out about him being such a faithful reader. He'd read it for so long, and they said, "We want to come in and we want to film you, and they want to put you on TV." And they said, "It's going to be BBC worldwide, and it's going to go all around the world." And Mr. Anderson was really excited about it, and I remember mentioning it to my wife, and she said, "Can my papa not be the oldest reader?" And I said, "Well, how come?" And she says, "Well, he's 96. And I says, "But he doesn't read the Beano." And she goes, "I know, but if we got him a copy, we could say that." But that wouldn't have been fair, because Mr. Anderson buys it every single week.
Oh, he's a member of the club, member of the Beano club.
He's a true menace.
Yeah.
He really is.
Absolutely.
He winds you up, and he came to the office, and he was taking all our new free gifts, because one of the things that we do occasionally is we give away free gifts. Now, back in Morris's time, when I was little, this was a free gift. Does anyone know what this is?
This was simpler fun, simpler times, very effective.
So it's pretty good, and I have to admit it's very good. But now we've got different stuff. So I tell you what, is anybody good at firing Nerf guns and stuff?
This is what you aim for.
And there's another one. If you try and
You'll find he'll draw
doesn't
much
suspect
quicker.
a
He'll
thing.
draw much quicker.
Oh! A true menace. Brilliant. Oh, well done, well done.
But no.
I tell you what, I'll give you these, and you can take. That's top secret, because that's not been on sale yet. So here's the rest of the bullets, so you can get your
It's also your
mum and dad later.
a very interesting thing about how we get our artists to work.
You're welcome. So we get to. The thing is, we're really lucky, because sometimes kids come and visit us in the office, and we let them play with all the free gifts, and it can be quite dangerous. Not because they hit anybody in the eye or anything like that, but because some of the things that the kids will say, because you guys are the most honest people ever, and you'll tell us if something's not funny or rubbish in the Beano, but you'll also sometimes say things that we might not say, because there was we had a little boy he was 5 years old recently, and he was firing about guns like this in a toy catapult and stuff like that, and he hit the lady who is the editor of the My Weekly magazine, because we work in a big office, and she was really nice, and she was laughing about it and saying, oh, you know, and she was being really nice to him. But then, now, the lady that works in my weekly is about my age, right? But she has kind of quite trendy grey, silvery hair. And then when the little boy's dad came to pick him up, he goes, Daddy, guess what? I hit an old lady with the gun, and she heard an old lady. And remember, she was all happy earlier on. She wasn't so happy after that. So you've got to be really careful. And I was very apologetic. I don't think she spoke to me for about a week. But
She won't.
So Morris.
But no, you mentioned about ideas. We spend a lot of time thinking up daft ideas. And I looked one out because it was one I remembered where it came from. Because we struggle with ideas. Sometimes there's various ways. From speaking to you lot is the best way to get an idea, because it's just a little slice of life. We exaggerate, it's a really good way. But sometimes the little ending bit on the BBC News or the STV News at 6 o'clock, where they like to end on a funny little bit, leads to a script. And this one was about, there was going to be a symposium in Dundee of the diseases of the banana.
What's a symposium?
It's they talk about it, and it was about diseases of the banana. So of course, the Bash Street writers heard about this, so they set out in this story. It's called The Banana Drama, and it's the Bash Street Kids, and it starts off with teacher going into the school greenhouse, and he says the school bananas should be ripe by now. Lovely, they're ready at last, he says, fingering the bananas. But he's left the bananas inside the school on his desk, and of course the Bash Street Kids are looking at them and say, let's booby trap teacher's bananas while he's out of the room. So Danny gets a pin, and he pushes his pin in the skin of the banana, and he puts it into half. So when poor old teacher comes back, he says, now for a delicious snack, and gasp, what a brilliant banana, it's already sliced. Of course the kids are killing themselves laughing, hey, I did it with my pin. Teacher's eating his sliced banana, saying, this is the next wonder of the world. I wonder if the next one's sliced. But no, it's not sliced, but it's coughing. Choke, cough, 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 splitter. And inside it is a pet mouse. Teacher says, good heavens, that banana has the flu. The next one is, he's lifted a banana, but Danny and the Bash Street Kids has replaced it with a balloon. He lifts the banana, and of course it flies out the window. He says, good gracious, a flying banana. And the kids by this time are in fits of laughter. But teacher's heard about the symposium of banana diseases, and he's off to the banana clinic with his unusual specimens. He runs through the waiting room with his clutch of bananas, past everybody else in the waiting room with their ill bananas, and eventually gets into the operating theatre, where the bananas strapped to the operating table. Stand back, teacher, this could get messy. The incisions made with the scalpel, so far so good, and he's told that this is a perfectly normal, well-adjusted, happy banana. And teacher's gobsmacked, but the surgeon says, in my expert opinion, you have been tricked by the kids. Of course, teacher goes nuts chasing the kids, and the quip is, as I feared, teacher's gone bananas.
Hey, well done.
And that's how an idea comes around.
Morris is like a proper author now, because he's done a reading and everything. He'll dine out on this for months. But does anybody know what this place here is? What is it? Beano Town, well done. And do you know what's strange about this map? The strange thing about it is, Beano's 75 years old, and the first time we drew a map of Beano Town was earlier this year. And that's because we created a thing called Beano Town down in London at the South Bank Centre. And so what we did to build this map was really hard work, because we spoke to so many people about what their memories of the Beano were, who their favourite characters were, their favourite places, things they'd seen, things that had been done, all the places that we'd ever had in the Beano. And then what we did was, we spoke to one of our artists, a gentleman called Wilbur Dauban, and we gave him a list of all the things, and we did a little sketch. It was a terrible sketch. We said the most important thing is that the centre of the world, the centre of the universe in Beano Town, is Dennis the Menace's house. And that's the house there. And can you see the tree house right in the middle right in plumb in the middle, and Nasher's Kennels beside it as well. And that's the centre of Beano town. And everything around it is invented from things that have been in the Beano before, or things that might happen in the Beano in the future. And there's still, you can see on the horizon, there's hills and stuff like that, and you know, who knows what's over that hill, and who knows what's out here in the water, and you know, there's an X that marks the spot, there's the pirate caves, so there could be stuff underneath Beano town as well. So this is the start. Now, I'm not going to speak too much about Beano town just now, because the good news is we've got little Beano town maps for you all when you leave today. So that'll be really good, and you can go and have a look at it, and you can get in touch and tell us what you think, and especially if you get any good ideas for stories from looking at it. But what we always ask people to do is to pick a place in Beano town that they think they'd really like to live in. And so, I don't know, we've got, I think, just to get an example, I know we've got a gentleman here, Matt, who's helped us out in the Beano before, and his daughter Amelia. So Amelia, do you know, could you tell me where you would like to live in Beano town? Do you think? Well, I tell you some of the places we've got. We've got Lord Snooty's castle, the pink castle there. We've got Beano Town United. Now, it's Beano Town United, but if you read that there, it says Beano Town Untied. The number of people, we've got a massive one of these in the office, the number of people that have come up to me and said, Mike, can I have a word? I think you've got something wrong with it, and they're completely mortified. So we've got the football stadium, we've got Dennis's house, we've got the zoo, you know, we've got the elephant there, we've got the teepees, we've got the bear's cave, we've got the fun park, we've got the police station, and we've got the Beano Town Centre, we've got the skate park, we've got Beano Town Burgers up in the top right, and we've got the swimming pool with the crazy chutes. How can they possibly work? So, and we've got a store called Whittle, which went down really well with the people that sell our magazines there. So Amelia, have you got any ideas? What takes your fancy? Because I want all the other kids and all the kids at all ages to go and do this when you leave here today. So Amelia, you start us off. Bagsy, the first place. The treehouse. What a great choice. Brilliant, Dennis's treehouse. Is that anything to do with the fact that your daddy made an advert for us that had a treehouse in it? No, see, I thought he was maybe nudging you. No, because Matt is an example of how we work with loads of creative people in the Beano, and we launched a new magazine just recently called Dennis and Nasher, and one of the things that Dennis loves to do is hang out in his treehouse. And we said to Matt, what we really want in this advert is a treehouse. And I thought, you know, he's never going to be able to do this. He'll buy a shed and put it up a tree. But what he did was he used all this computer wizardry, and he made a CGI treehouse, and it was like Star Wars. And I remember the first time I saw the advert, and I was like totally blown away with it. And that's the great thing about the Beano, because we make up stories, and then we send them away, and they're just on a piece of paper or they're on an email, and then they come back after someone like Stephen has transformed them and brought them to life and drawn all the characters. So that's the real treat for us. So we just start with an idea, and then it's the artists that make all the magic happen, I think. But you know, it's easy for us to come up with ideas because we have such great characters.
I think it's a lot of imagination here, but who believes his Untied story? Really? That's a spelling mistake in my book.
Oh, this is what I'm up against, guys. So I think it's time for our game, isn't it?
Yes, introduce this, remind you.
I want to do a reading later on so
you,
I can tell my mum.
To remind you of some of the characters, we thought we'll do top trumps. I have some older characters, and this young man has some more modern characters.
It's not often I get called a young man nowadays.
Now, the only fair way is for you all to vote for which characters win top trumps.
We just first of all apologise for this drawing. I tried to do Billy Whiz, but he just won't hold still.
Good. It's a good plug for Billy Whiz. Right, which of your characters are you putting up?
I'm allowed to pick anyone, or have I've got to do an order?
I've rigged the decks.
Oh yeah, here we go. The Bruce Forsyth of...
On you go.
Right. So, I tell you what, I'm just going to go out with my big hat first. Dennis the Menace. First appeared in the Beano in 1951 when he was called the world's wildest boy, and he's still the world's wildest boy today. Do you know how many members he had in his... Thought he was arriving there.
No, that's Billy Whiz.
Billy Whiz again. Oh, he's got everything set up. But do you know how many? Does anyone know how many members Dennis had in his fan club? Does anyone want to guess? How many? 3,500. That's quite a good guess, but it was even more than that. Higher. How many do you think? 10 million trillion. Oh, well, you've put me in my place. It was 1 million members, right? And we thought that was fabulous until you came along. But no, he had 1 million members, and maybe, you know, maybe if we brought the club back nowadays, maybe we would get as many as that. I don't know. But so that's why I think Dennis is going to beat whoever you come up with.
Well, I'm going with Billy Whiz. Billy Whiz, he is he's not so menacing. He's been around since 1964. He's the fastest boy in the world. Every story is at breakneck pace. You heard him going past a minute ago. It's just fabulous stuff. Now the great mystery, this is why I love him so much. The great mystery is where did the speed come from? Because we've never explained it. But the hair on his head, is it hair or is it antennae? Is this man an alien? I think that's worth a vote.
If he's an alien, he's a cheat.
Racehorses, greyhounds and rugby stars have been named after this man.
Right, okay, well, we put it to the test, right? So, how are we going to do it?
Shout out
Dennis, or, right, everyone that thinks he should be Dennis, shout Dennis. 3, 2, 1. Oh.
Next one.
We'll have to give Billy a chance.
Give Billy Whiz.
And
3, 2, 1. Billy!
that was pretty good too. Sounds like it could be a draw.
Draw.
Will we give it a draw? Yeah?
Give it a draw.
But that was my best card.
Well, I'll put forward.
I gave that one up. All right, here, I've got a chance here.
Here we are. Do you know this man? Biffo the Bear. Biffo. Good man. Biffo arrived with the Beano in 1948. Former Beano cover star. He was on the cover when the Beano sold a record-breaking 1.943 million copies per week in 1950. Good. And Dennis was just a twinkle in the scriptwriter's eye. Amazing animal. He drove a car, he had a mortgage, and he held down numerous jobs, which is great something. And most importantly, he invented hot pants. Biffo the Bear.
It's true, and do you know the reason why Biffo came about into the Beano was because back in those days, the DC Thomson, our publishers, did some market research, and they found out that kids identified better with more humanistic characters. Now back then, on the cover, we had an ostrich called
Big Ego.
Big Ego. And so, but they were quite a cautious, we were always quite a cautious company, because rather than move straight to Dennis the Menace, who was the next cover star, they thought, well, we better not just go too far here with the humans, so they made him a half bear, half man instead. So Biffo's pretty good, I have to admit that, but I think I've got a worthy adversary. Anyone know what this little doggie's called? Yeah, the little girl with the dress with the zigzags on. Nasher, well done. Brilliant. Nasher's been in the Beano ever since 1971 because Dennis didn't have him right away. A lot of people think that Dennis and Nasher have always been together. But no, Dennis found him. He was a stray dog. Now, Morris is a bit of an expert. What breed of dog is Nasher Morris? Or should we ask?
Yes, ask the floor. Breed of dog.
Oh, well, we've got a bit of an expert.
That's pretty good,
That's halfway there.
What kind?
An Abyssinian word-haired tripod.
Correct.
Golly gosh.
Well done.
You should be a judge at Crufts. That's amazing. Could you imagine if Nasher was at Crufts? Crumbs. So, the thing is, Nasher, when he was originally designed, the artist, the guy like Steve, who was asked to draw him, was told by the writer, he was asked by the writer.
No, he was told.
He was told by the writer. Morris knows all about this. To take Dennis's hair and turn it into a dog. And what they did was they took Dennis's hair, the scraggly, curly mess, and they put teeth and legs, and like how you draw a sheep, you know, I'm good at drawing sheep. You just put the little legs, a cloud, and then the wee legs. They did that with Nasher, and that's how he came about, and he's been developed since then. Now, does anyone know the language Nasher speaks? That's
right.
brilliant.
That's
and,
it.
and it's called Nasheries. Oh, sorry, I'm covering my mic.
Can you also repeat the question so that everybody hears the answers?
Right, good. Excellent, thank you. So I got a row again. This is the strictest place ever. I'm going to get chucked out soon.
Anyway.
Sorry, this is the
Nashees, did you say?
Nasheries, yeah, that's the official term. Now, I think it's, we'll have to put this one to the test because
Okay.
Nasher's very popular. These
I'm
are
very
two
popular. I'm very popular too. Hot pants,
Hot pants.
2 million readers.
Or Nash.
Biff with the bear. Big cheer. 1, 2, 3. Biffo!
Right, for Nasher, what I want everyone to do is to go Nash if they want Nasher to win this round. So 3, 2, 1. That's excellent. Thank you so much.
that's
Morris,
great.
you're going to have to raise your game here, mate.
Biffo. Never liked him.
So I tell you who. Roger the Dodger. Now, do you know why all our characters our main characters have red and black? Does anyone know the reason behind that?
When it first started, that was the only colour.
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer. When the
correct
Beano
answer.
first started, the only colours we could print were red and black. So that's why Dennis, and you've got a little question, yeah?
Well, I thought what happened was Dennis used to wear just a normal jumper, which was completely white.
That's true for Dennis,
and
yeah.
Then, and once he tricked someone and they flew out of the shirt and he took the shirt.
Do you know, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
You should know that, because what actually happened was, you're right, Dennis the Menace started out and he wore a grey shirt and a white and black stripy tie, and he didn't have the jumper, and the excuse was that his mum was still knitting it. That's what we say nowadays. But you're right, because back in the 1980s, the editor at that time, Ewan, he thought he would make up a story to explain how he got the jumper. So that's kind of one of these things that not a lot of people know. So that's really impressive. Yeah, that's real expertise. Yeah, you've read the history of the Beano. Yeah, well, that's really good. I'm so impressed. But it is true that the technical reason was because we had red and black and what were the colours we had on the inside. So that's why the naughty kids who came along, Roger, Dennis, Minnie in the 1950s, all wear red and black in some sort of format. So Roger came and arrived in 1953, and he was called the world's craftiest dodger, trickier than a cage full of,
Monkeys.
well done, monkeys. You're a monkey.
I wrote it.
Yeah. So he was a bit of a dodger, as his name would suggest, and he owns a famous library of dodge books. Yeah, I was hoping somebody would say maths books or something like that, but dodge books is the correct answer again.
I mean, is nobody worried about the fraud aspect? You know, there's an aspect of fraud in this. But anyway.
He's a very naughty kid, Roger. But who have you got, Morris? Have you got
This
anyone
one,
as good
yes,
as Roger?
I've got Little Plum, who arrived in 1953, crafty little North American native boy, and a member of the Smellyfoot tribe. He ran the tribe for Big Chief Eaglebeak, who we all referred to as Chiefy, although he looked like our editor at the time. And he masterminded the wars against the Bears and their sworn enemies, the Puttyfoot tribe. The strip was introduced to us to some amazing characters, which came from the pen of Ewan Kerr, the previous editor of the Beano. Pudding Bison, the buffalo, Babyface Finlayson, the pram-driving bandit, and my favourite of all, who is the head of Greedy Gulch Township, the never-to-be-forgotten Mayor or Less. Now, you have to be Scottish to get this joke. Mayor or Less was the... So for the Mayor or Less joke, I put it to you.
So I just got that.
Do you know what? I have to tell you something else very interesting about Morris at this point. And it's connected with what he's just said there. Morris still writes the Bruins and Oor Willie every single week. I don't know if anyone knows those characters. Yeah.
Way.
So that's where Morris knows these ways of speaking.
So you might find Mayor or Less in the Bruins one week. Anyway, I put it to you for that fabulous Scottish joke. Let's hear it for Little Plum. Yay!
That was pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Pretty good. They made a good case. Right, so for Roger, if we go 3, 2, 1, and then if you like him, say dodge. 3, 2, 1. Dodge! Brilliant. I think, Morris, that's 3. I think I'm going to get to take you home after this. This is brilliant. Keep you. Right, I think we've got time for maybe. Have we got time for one more card before we get some questions? I'm anxious about. One more card. So who do you want to? Who should I put forward against you?
Bash Street Kids.
Yes, I thought so.
I have them licked on the Bash Street Kids.
Right, who's first?
You go first.
It's your game. The Bash Street Kids, the naughtiest class in the history of classes. In the Beano since 1954, does anyone know the story, and I know you'll know the story, of how the Beano got the idea for the Bash Street Kids? Can you tell us the story?
From what I heard, I'm not sure if this is right because I haven't actually checked the answers yet, but I heard that the Bash Street Kids were just made really. But at the beginning, Toots and Sydney weren't in the Bash Street Kids anymore.
Well, no, you've got good information again. Do you know how they were inspired though? This is the kind of how we first got the idea, Morris.
That day, I know. I went to the school. Out from the Beano window, you're looking onto a school quad, and the kids used to come flying out at 3:30, make a heck of a noise, annoyed the old editor. That's a perfect caricature, by the way, of the old editor.
The teacher. All the adults in the Beano always look like who the editors were in the 1950s. That's why the grown-ups always kind of look the same. They've got these pointy noses and big chins.
Well, Minnie's dad and the Bash Street Kids teacher are one and the same because the artist caricatured the editor very, very well.
And so, and that was how they inspired. The story was originally called When the Bell Rings, because whenever the bell rung, all the kids came racing out, causing absolute carnage. And these lazy bizzums would watch out the window and then just copy down what happened and put it into the comic. And it was
research, boy. That was research.
It was research. And then it was all based on this moment of when the bell rung, and it was so popular with other kids. Back in the day, we got so many letters, people saying, I wish my school could be like this, that what we then did was we called it we made it about the whole school day, rather than the kids just rushing out into the playground. It was the entire school day, and that's when it got changed to the Bash Street Kids.
But there's a lot of Bash Street Kids, and here's my question to you. Will you concede this round if somebody can name all the Bash Street Kids?
That's fair enough. Because there's no way anyone will be able to do that, Morris. I can't even name all the Bash Street Kids.
I knew that.
You can choose, because this is your game, you can choose, you can nominate a champion. Somebody.
The man in the yellow.
Danny, Sydney, Coots, Smithy, Sporty, Wilfred,
Hey. That was really well done.
If I had a hat, I would certainly take it off to you, because I thought, and I'd bet him £100 that no one could do it as well.
And the writing's gone off my hand here, so.
That's well superb, done. Well done. It's so great to see so many people that are such great fans, and that's why we want to give you a chance now to ask some questions. And if we run out of questions, we've still got plenty of things we can say. I can still do my reading, but if in the first instance, if anybody's got any questions at all, no matter how cheeky they are, ask Morris.
And by the way, if you've still got the gun, he's slowing down, did you notice?
If you can just wait for the Mark with the mic to get to you.
Mark with the mic.
Have you seen the programme Dennis the Menace?
Yes, we have. That's a really good question, because the great answer I can give is we helped write the whole programme. To make a TV series like Dennis the Menace and Nasher, it starts about 3 years ago, And what it starts off with is just the same as everything else, ideas. And people have ideas, and we all get together in a room, and we actually have a couple of days, and we just go mad, and we play games, and we come up with stories and stuff like that. And then we convert them into the TV series. And about 3 years later, you get that the first part's already been shown. This is the 4th series we've had, and we've got another 26 episodes that will be getting shown closer to the end of the year as well. So we're really, really pleased, because on iPlayer, the first episode was downloaded more than 1 million times. Now, to put that into context, the opening ceremony of the Olympic Games was downloaded 3.5 million times, and you think what a big thing that was. So what we're saying is we're nearly as big as the Olympics.
I suspect it was the Beano
Good
staff
question.
during the day downloading it again.
I downloaded it 200,000 times. My mum 100,000.
Can you change Ball Boy back?
Can we change them back? Do you mean? Because we've just
in the transfer window.
Transfer window. Yeah. Maybe get another. Well, do you know what? That's a very interesting question, because we've changed the look of Ball Boy recently. Because the reason we changed Ball Boy was we were receiving a lot of letters and information from readers who didn't really like Ball Boy the way he was. So what we thought we would do is we would try him in the new way, and we got a different artist, a guy called Alexander Matthews, who's a big football fan, to draw Ball Boy. So at the moment, it's still pretty new. We're hoping you, like any new player at a football team, you'll give him a little bit of time to settle in, because maybe his performances aren't just quite good enough yet, because he's been, he's maybe got a wee injury and stuff like that. So hopefully,
as you can see, which Ball Boy do you like? Because he had changed before.
I like the one the last one.
The last one.
See, I like the very first one. It was the artist was the same artist as Billy Whiz, and that was my favourite. But it changes. In a comic that lasts 75 years, you simply that the artists retire, artists give up.
It's funny.
They're a lazy bunch anyway, and some of them just wander off into the.
Well, Dave, the artist who chews the lemons. Now you saw Stephen did plug there without any lemon chewing whatsoever, which shows his skill. But Dave has drawn over 2,000 episodes of the Bash Street Kids. But we're not so lucky that all our artists will work for us for that long. So sometimes we have to change. Sometimes we change because, like I say, people have said, why don't you try something different? But what we do is we listen to all the comments. So that's interesting that you don't like the new Ball Boy as much. So, we'll have a wee think about that. But for the moment, we're going to keep him just the same till he settles in. But if people keep telling us they don't like him, who knows what will happen? He might be transferred.
Back.
Ed and the Numbskulls.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, Ed is still in the Beano. It's just that the Numbskulls have been visiting other people's heads for a while. And the reason for that is because we wanted to see how the Numbskulls, what we are saying is that the Numbskulls are in all our heads. We've all got our own Numbskulls. And so what we thought would be quite fun was to put them in some other people's heads. And so we're trying that out at the moment, but Ed's still very much part of the Beano. He's in the Beano Annual this year, and he's, we never retire characters completely. They're always still in Beano Town. So yeah, Ed will probably come back. That's something that's pretty safe to say. But we're trying to mix it up a little bit and have different people as well. But that's a good question again. Thank you.
When did Dennis's sister be first appeared in the Beano?
Well, that was in the 80s, and was it 1986? Was it
1998?
1998?
Yep.
Well, it shows how much I know, doesn't it? Thanks for covering for me there, Morris.
The great thing about being old is I can make up anything, and he doesn't know any better. I think it's 1988.
And it was the first birth ever in a comic, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
No, seriously, it was.
Personally, the Dandy would never have done it. But there you go, the Beano, yes.
Do you like B? Is B one of your favourite characters? Who's your total favourite? Nasha. So many people say Nasha's their favourite. So that was a good question. Luckily, Morris was here to answer it properly. Oh, cool.
Why did you think that Dennis and Nasha should pair up?
Well, do you know what it was, right? I think Dennis and Nash are like the best pals ever. Now, I know Nasher's a dog, and I know Dennis is a wee boy, but they're like, it was so Dennis would have a pal that was even naughtier than he was. And the thing is as well, Nasher's kind of like Dennis's accomplice, because Nasher can do stuff that Dennis can't. You know, Nasher can chew his way through steel, he can chew his way through bricks, he can chew his way through postmen's bums. So Dennis couldn't do those things. So we brought Nasher in, and I think it was like...
It goes back to the scriptwriter too. The scriptwriter was a fellow, Ian Gray, who was mad keen on dogs. He used to do sheepdog trials. He had a kennel and a cattery. He loved dogs, so he was very keen. He invented the Bash Street pups as well. Anything with a dog, he was guilty.
Nipper, well, in...
Once again, one of these dodgy Beano stories. Nasher went missing. Nasher went missing and was gone for 6 weeks, and when he returned, he was father to 6 pups.
Six pups, yeah.
Another,
and they were
the
all
Beano wouldn't. The
Nashy
Beano did this.
names.
The Dandy wouldn't.
There was Natasha. There was...
Oh, you've got me now.
right, see now, hey, I finally found something Morris doesn't know. Does anyone know any other... There was Natasha, Gnaomi, I'm really struggling. Names that begin with N. Nipper, there was Nipper, yeah.
Nipper was the one that
he was the one that got kept.
He
The other
was
ones were, you know, some lucky other kids got these lovely, you know, Abyssinian tripe hound pups. And they weren't, because they were a crossbreed.
Yes,
of
I think
pups,
they were quite curly. I think.
Yeah. A
poodle
poodle was
mummy.
involved. Yeah.
And it was interesting because, of course, Walter next door had a poodle, though that was never mentioned.
It was never mentioned in the comment. Swiftly moving on. Oh, hi. What's your question, please?
Could you do more stories about Rasher?
Rasher the pig.
Rasher.
Oh wow, that's a great idea, because do you know what? A friend of mine, you know, it's funny how things work out, because I have a little girl who's about B's age, and she made a new friend at nursery, and they're great friends, and then we met her new friend's mum and dad, and it turned out that her dad was somebody who I had been at school with when I was a little boy. And we never knew this, and he lives really close to us. And do you know what he has? He has 2 pets, and do you know what they are? Pigs. Yes, they're pigs. And yesterday he came round and he told me so many stories about the pigs. He said that the pig, last week he came back and his pig was, one's called Hannibal, and they're pets. They don't want to eat them or anything else. And they came back and the pig had red all round his mouth, and they thought, oh my goodness, Hannibal's injured himself in its blood. But what it was Hannibal had dug up a brick and chewed it, and the red brick had smashed down. So that's how we get ideas for stories. So I said today to the guys, you know, we should do this with Rasher. So now you've said, why don't you have more stories about Rasher? So I think maybe that's a good one to start with. Yeah, so I think that's a brilliant suggestion. Thank you very much. It's a great question.
Here's the mic.
Hi.
What would happen if Dennis went out with someone?
Oh, that's a brilliant question.
No, I think he has. I think Dennis went out with Minnie the Minx. Dennis went out with Minnie the Minx to a Halloween ball, and if I remember right, they both ended up in the custody of the police and for causing various nightmares. But that would be probably in the...
Who do you all think Dennis should maybe have a date with?
You know Angelface?
Angelface, that's a really...
It's kind of in between Walter and Dennis.
Angelface is a great character because we brought her in when we were developing the animation, and that it's great the way you've summed her up there. She's as naughty as Dennis, She's smarter than Walter, and she can kind of play them both off against each other. But people have said to me, do you not think that she's got a little thing for Dennis? So who knows, maybe that's another idea that we've had today.
Somewhere.
This is great, I'm going to write these all down after. Hi.
Who's the longest in the Beano?
The tallest?
The long.
Oh, the longest?
Oh, now
well,
the one's left.
I suppose you would say Lord Snooty.
Well, you still use Lord Snooty from time to time.
Because Lord Snooty was in the first ever Beano, 75 years ago.
But I mean, Dennis has been on the go since 1951. He must be getting close.
Yeah.
Now that they don't use Biffo. But
Biffo still lives in his cave.
Biffo had a house. Biffo had a mortgage. Where is his cave?
That's how hard times Biffo's fallen on.
But no, I think it'll be Dennis. I think Dennis from 1951.
Yeah, Dennis would be the one that you know, and he's their biggest star, and so from 1951, it's fantastic that he's still a really popular character. So we're very proud of him.
Who's the wee guy on the top of the mountain?
It's a snowman. It's a snowman. What do you think his name should be? Frosty? Do you know, guys, I've just had a terrible fright because I've spotted my little sister and my mum here today. And I've been saying things about my mum. Lucky I never said anything about my little sister, so there they are over there. So it's like I've behaved myself, haven't I?
Yes. Fire away. Yes, I think Russia.
Yeah.
Harley.
Harley as well, yeah. Well, Harley was Dennis's granny's pig, and she's still got him. So he's Rasher's cousin. So they're both kind of in Beano Town. So I think Harley's never really left, but I think the idea about bringing Rasher back is really, really good. So maybe, would you think Rasher and Harley would maybe play together, or do you think they would fight with each other?
I think no, in the Beano, I mean, have a look at Nasher and Nipper. B, I think there'll be piglets on the go before you know it. If Harley's playing with Russia.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. I'm a bit lost for what to say after that.
Why do you think the Beano has survived in weekly print and the Dandy hasn't? What had the Beano got that the Dandy didn't?
It's mainly, well, the Beano got me and the Dandy had Morris, so... No, I'm only kidding. I
think it goes back further than that, doesn't it? It goes back to the decision in the 50s when the Dandy stayed in sort of quite traditional lines. The Dandy editor, Albert Barnes, reckoned that you should give children value for money, so he reckoned that was words. And the Dandy stayed very wordy. There was a lot of reading in the Dandy, whereas the Beano went for a lighter, faster action, anarchic kids, and that was the way to go. And sales-wise, in the 50s, the Beano overtook the Dandy, and the sales just stripped away. So the Beano was coming from a much bigger sale than the Dandy.
And I think the Beano had some great, pieces of good fortune in terms of the Beano Club was a massive thing that really sustained the Beano during the 80s. But also, I think Morris really touched upon it. The Beano's always been about, the main characters have always been kids. Ever since the 1950s, and that's when the Beano overtook the Dandy right at the beginning of the 1950s, when the Beano brought in all the naughty kids. And Banana Man's a man, but he's a man who turns into Banana Man from being a kid. So all the Beano's main characters are kids, and I think that's a really good reason, because we've all been...
The Dandy had Desperate Dan, had Corporal Clot. It was adults, and it kept sort of stories that were a lot of reading for. They were not so popular. We would do polls all the time, and the stories that were hard to read, a lot of reading, they were unpopular. But Albert at that time reckoned must give value for money, so that's how the Dandy went. But
and the interesting thing about Albert, who Morris mentions there, was Desperate Dan was based on him. He was a guy. He had a massive big chin. And Desperate Dan was completely, and it was unlike the Beano, where the artists were really cheeky and drew the characters, the kind of grown up horrible characters, to look like the editor. Albert Barnes actually said to the artist, I want the main character, Desperate Dan, to look a bit like me. And he was very proud of his chin. He thought it made him look very tough and strong. So that's how that character came about.
He was pleased that Desperate Dan had this chin.
Maurice, have you ever had any characters drawn to look like you?
Yes, I sacked the artist, but there's an artist called Steve Bright. Him and I, as young men, used to share a flat together, and I would appear. If anybody was run over by a bus, it would be my caricature on it. If anybody was falling off a cliff, it would be my caricature on it. But no, I didn't. I never got a character.
That's cool.
Probably the last question.
The last question.
What happened to Tricky Dicky?
What happened to Tricky Dicky? Well, nothing's really happened to him. He's still there. He's still in our plans, and he's still getting drawn even now. So that there's nothing happened to him. It's to get everything in every single week. It's sometimes difficult. I was just relieved that question wasn't from my mum. What happened to your shirt? Did you not iron it or something like that? Have we got? Is that?
So afraid.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry guys, we've run out of time unfortunately, but the guys will be next door in the signing tent, and if you've got more questions, which you clearly have, feel free to ask them there. If you could just give us a couple of minutes to get over there, and please join me in thanking Mike, Maurice and Stevie.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Torin and I'm 8.
And I'm Angus.
And he's my very annoying brother.
Angus, and I'm 10 years old.
Well, it was amazing. We've been really looking forward to it.
It was really good, yeah.
And they gave out some nerf guns, and at the very end, everyone got a map of Beano Town.
And they played
cool.
some games as well.
They were giant top trumps with the old Beano characters, say Big Aggo, Biffer the Bear, Corky the cat from Dandy, but they didn't have that. But then they had like Minnie the Minx, Roger, Dennis, Nasher, and it was top trumps, and the new characters won 3-2.
Telling us about pranks that they played and how they made up people, like they pranks on the old authors, like putting a spiderweb sellotape against them and things, and they made kind of Beano based on themselves, building it up. And the Bass Street Kids, apparently they made it from a school that the Beano office looks out onto.
And it used to be called When the Bell Rings.
Because when the bell rings, all the Bass Street Kids, the kids would run out and cause havoc.
Really noisy. Yeah, it's really good. It's amazing. Yeah, because you can get the bands. I don't have one right now. I did have 2 or something like that. And they get key rings, and you can buy all the books, and they're really good. Actually,
the events are good. Everything is epic, and it laid out really well as well.
I've just gone to the Beano event about the history of it. Well, I found out about Nasher's sisters, that Nasher actually has some sisters, and I knew that he had sisters, but I didn't know the exact names of them, so yeah. Like everybody, probably Dennis the Menace. Well, he's just that sort of cheeky character that you really like. So. Yes, I've come to the book festival for a Dandy event as well. I like going to the book festival.
My name's James and I'm 11. I've just been to the Beano event, and I think it was really good because I learned a lot more about the Beano than I did know, and yeah, I think that's it. I think it was quite interesting about how Dennis got his red and black striped jumper. I think it was something about how they could only print red and black. That was the only colours they could print when Dennis the Menace came out. I think it was really good.
I'm called Ava and I'm 8 years old.
I went to see the Beano and I really liked it because I really liked the fact that Nasher was once a stray tribe hound dog. I found out that there's more in Beano Town than there is about the treehouse in Nasher's Kennel. I kind of come to the book festival a lot.